better. I mean, it's
All right, we are live, and before we get rolling too far, we're going to talk about a couple of things before we get going, but I always like to make this pitch, and I may do it again.
Okay.
It's going to be a Q&A, so to help me out, your intrepid chat watcher, screen puller-upper, question asker, can you please say question or Q or delineate what you're asking for, and preferably in a straightforward question like, did such and such happen? Not if such and such is the case, and why would this be the case? And then you can go to the other, and if because I'm going to run out of oxygen by the time I get to the end of the question.
So well, it's not that. Please. It's a supposition question.
That
if Oswald came from Mars and he couldn't breathe Earth's oxygen, how could he have killed the president?
There we go. So no Mars questions. No,
it's not. It's not only that. I mean, first of all, this shouldn't be called a Q&A. It should be called a Q&O, because it's questions and opinions. I don't have the answers. I'm not sitting here like the amazing Bill Mazer back on Fox Local in New York, who answered every sports question ever. The guy was insane. He would just say 313 batting average, Tony Gwynn. The guy was just a madman. But those were factual answers. We basically don't have factual answers. These are just informed opinions.
How about questions and observations?
Well, it could be that, but I'm saying answers is kind of deceptive, is all I'm saying. It's not like I'm sitting here. I mean, I have some answers, but I don't have all the answers. That's for sure.
Okay.
It's a disclaimer, by the way, folks.
Okay. And this is a variant of it, so I'll just spit one out really quickly. QQQ. I got the point. Was JFK a threat to Israel's nuclear weapon program, and was this a factor in his assassination?
Both are no. Both are absolutely no.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Now, to get things warmed up, I have a little clip, a recording of a phone call.
Oh, hold on. Let me just set this up, too, because I found this the other day. I don't know where it came. It came from the LBJ library, obviously. But it was released literally like 2 weeks ago. I sent it to Eric, and then we didn't have a chance to talk about it. This is a conversation between one of 10 million conversations between LBJ and his former campaign manager, John Connolly, and co-conspirator, as I see the assassination. These two guys, and we've laid this out, Eric and I, for numerous different episodes. The one on John Connolly, I highly recommend you look at the John Connolly episode if you think I'm making this up. The fight by LBJ to keep Connolly out of the front of that limo was a fight to the death with JFK, who didn't understand why Connolly could not sit in that seat. LBJ involved in one of the loudest arguments, according to Jackie Kennedy, that she'd ever heard her husband being involved in. That's the night before at the Fort Worth Hotel in Fort Worth. Actually, it's technically the same day, because the argument was like at 1 o'clock in the morning. And Connolly and LBJ were bosom buddies on a bunch of different things, business things, stealing election things, and eventually at the hotel, the El Paso Hotel, in the summer of 1963, after wearing him down, got JFK to admit that he would come to Dallas in the fall, and they could breathe a sigh of relief, because they had to get him to admit to that, or agree to that. And he fought it tooth and nail. He didn't want to come back. He was there in June. He didn't want to come back. But this was also part of Connolly and LBJ's thing. And also, as we've learned on this show, that Connolly was involved in getting the parade route to go to the Texas, to go to the building that they had been disapproved for because of the lack of security by the Secret Service for the post speech that JFK was going to give, the so-called Dallas Trade Mart, which was relatively new. It was supposed to be the women's building. which was easily protectable by the by the Secret Service. Connolly was adamant, working against Bruno, the advance man, Jerry Bruno, in fact, making up phony phone calls to say that it had been approved. Now, this phone call that Eric's going to play is very interesting, and we'll talk about it on the other side, because this is after the assassination, right, Eric? You're talking about 11 months, or is it October
Yes, October 14th, 1964.
And dig how they're still talking in this particular phone conversation.
All right, by the way, this is from Out of the Blank YouTube channel, just to give a little bit of credit.
Now, I never heard of a pod race. Nobody mentioned that to me. And if I had, the first time I heard of it, I had the same reaction. I'm afraid people will think that it's just a payoff. I think it'll be looked upon, but it'll be bad. Now, this will be bad for me. Yeah. In the light of this thing, because I've just called hell all the last 2 days for going to Dallas all. So, and they think I'm bringing up all the memories, retracing the same steps, and me going to Fort Worth first, and then over to Dallas, just like Kennedy did. And I don't know. We'll talk about it till tomorrow, and I'll do it. Thank you. Thank you. I'll do whatever you look at it.
Well, I assume that was probably your reason, and I don't want to argue with your judgment. All I want to tell you was that it will be a success. I can understand that reasoning. I have pretty much the same reaction. At least it occurred to me that you might feel that way about it, and I don't know.
The two reasons, really, I don't want to. One is I think that they will. That'll be the interpretation we placed on it. Number two, I want to do some things if those people help me. I want to do them in December, and I don't want to do them for consideration.
Yeah.
By the way, those who are listening and are struggling to hear it, there are subtitles on the screen. So just go back and watch, and then the subtitles I think will maybe help you hear it.
Yeah, he's worried about coming to Dallas and arousing suspicion again. He has stayed out of Dallas, and it's apparently some fundraiser that he doesn't want to come to because he doesn't want to arouse suspicions again. Like he's there trying to celebrate, is my interpretation of the assassination of JFK. He doesn't want it to look like a celebration, and he doesn't want to go there.
It appears not. Nope. I can sort of see that. I mean, if something like that went down, would you want to go back to the same location? It would be really awkward.
In other words, I wouldn't want to return to the scene of the crime. I don't think he feels threatened. I think, it would, again, think about it from his point of view. The story is going to be LBJ returns to site of JFK assassination, where he was blah, 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 and became president of the United States, blah, blah, blah. Even if he's not involved in the conspiracy, it doesn't look good.
Right. Well, and there's a lot of places I'm sure he could go in Dallas. So he can always return to, like, instead of Dallas, maybe go back to Fort Worth or go to the other side of town in Dallas. You could return to the state and the city, no problem, but it doesn't have to be the exact same spot. That's
it's some sort of fundraiser, and Connolly gets it. He agrees with him, John Connolly.
Yeah, I don't know. All right. Couple other things that you wanted to bring up. A lot of people have written in, asked questions. This comes up, a lot.
What?
So go ahead and put it up again. And that's the whole, what about this rifle, the extra rifle?
Yeah. If you look at this photo that Eric's going to put up, you'll see that this is no shotgun, my friend. This is a .303 British Enfield. There's video film actually of them coming down the fire escape from the roof, where they found this gun on the roof of the Texas School Book Depository. They found the exact same weapon, which this may be, I don't even know if it's not, that Wesley Buell Frazier had in his house and was arrested for. They claim that was a separate .303 British Enfield, but this, my friend, is no shotgun. As some of the people discrediting this story have said. I wanted to show you this as close up as humanly possible. This comes from Robert Groden's new book, which I highly recommend. Which is this one here, JFK Proof of the Assassination. It has some of these photos in there. And if you blow it up like Eric's doing, you will see that is and other people have examined this weapon. It's a 303 British Enfield. But there's also a couple of other little photos that go with it, Eric, of the fire escape itself that I've talked about on this show, but I've never shown these photos before on the show itself. There is a fire escape. There is a fire escape that comes down from the roof, and there's footage in Bob Groden's film collection, his DVD collection. That there, my friends, are the cops who are up there, are about to come down from the roof with that weapon. And there's actual film which has been scrubbed from the internet because many of us of a certain age remember seeing it. It is now gone, but Bob has preserved it, and it's in his DVD collection. Films of the assassination. When we get to Dallas, November 22nd of this year, we're going to show it at the Lancer conference along with other things. But you will see in that footage them coming down that fire escape. It's the same gun, same guys, and they come down the fire escape to the ground.
I don't remember for sure, but I think we may have also shown it on here with Bob Groden because we went through Bob's.
All right. Maybe
we had him on a second time, I believe, and we went through his films on the channel. So look up the Bob Groden interviews or Robert
Groden got it.
interviews.
It might be on here.
And I think we may have shown that piece, but I'm not.
Well, if you look at it, this is a clear shot of see the ladder. The film that Eric's talking about starts at that ladder on the tippy top because that weapon was found on the roof. And I believe that somebody was shooting straight down into the back of John Connolly. The angle is way too steep for the wounds to JFK, but they do line up with the back wound exiting the chest into the left wrist and into the left thigh of John Connolly, almost straight down. And that's the only angle that can happen from. But yeah, that ladder is important because the ladder goes to the fire escape. And that's how they come down in the film with the rifle itself. And they're not going up there with a shotgun and coming down with a shotgun. They're bringing down that 303 British Enfield. And oddly enough, it's the same exact rifle that Buell Wesley Frazier gets arrested for at his house with tons of ammo. And a frequenter of the local shooting gallery is Frazier, not Oswald. It is Frazier who looks like him and may have been mistaken for him. He is threatened with the electric chair. He is lie detected twice by Detective Rose, who will end up in the same movie, not the same movie, but a movie called The Thin Blue Line by Errol Morris, where he framed another guy in that Academy Award-winning film having nothing to do with the JFK assassination, but the same detective. He's the guy that threatens Buell Wesley Frazier and gets him to concoct with him the story that Oswald took this gigantic package with him to work. Here's the Morris film. Also, he did The Fog of War with Robert McNamara. But The Thin Blue Line, well worth it just from a crime documentary point of view. The Dallas police were notorious for being corrupt. Not that they were alone, but they had framers within the police department, as I've talked about before on the show, guys who did framing of, people that they felt were guilty, or they're trying to help the DA Wade keep his scoreless streak going so he can electrocute as many people as possible. All of his convictions will be overturned later by the Texas Supreme Court. That being said, Frazier, in his memoir, wrote that he had worked at a department store the summer before. And oddly enough, he worked in the shipping department and shipped out curtain rods, of all things, which I don't even think he realized you know what I mean, Eric? I don't even think he realized what he was saying in that memoir, that it was, or maybe it was a way of signaling that, they made me do this.
Well, the irony is a lot of the memoirs are ghostwritten too, right? Or they have help.
Well, this was ghostwritten by the guy who ran the Texas School Book Depository Museum, and also Frazier didn't write a word of it. He said his son emailed him questions, and he responded in email answers to the questions. He didn't even write one word of the book, which is not unheard of, because we just had a guest on a couple of months ago who may not have written a word of his book.
Well, there you go. So maybe they said you had curtain rods in your job, and then there you go.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, before we get rolling into the rest of this, a lot of folks like to tune in for the JFK stuff. So I want to take this time early in the show because you may not have seen it, might not have seen the shows recently, but we will in fact be in Dallas in November at the JFK Lancer Conference, and you may want to come check it out. We will not be alone.
No,
Mark and I will not be alone there. There will be luminaries there.
And not only that, because of all the
mom who we spoke to, Larry Hancock will be there. Janet Groban.
There might be Congressman Luna breaking news about the KGB Oswald files by then.
Maybe we
can
always hope for it. But if you want to go, we have a code. It's Untold 10. That's in the bottom left. You can see it right there. You can scan the screen right now. If you're watching this on TV, I know a lot of people watch the show on their TV.
Okay.
It's a very popular output. Sometimes number one. It's number one or number two is the television. You can point your phone right at the screen, right at that JFK portrait in the bottom right there. That's a QR code. It'll take you there. Or you could just go to the description wherever you're watching, Locals, Rumble, YouTube, and there's a link there. Just remember to use Untold 10. And if you say, you know what, you absolutely can't make it.
Yeah.
There are virtual tickets.
What?
So you still can. And I'd actually recommend, even if you do make it, you probably should get a virtual ticket as well. So that way you can watch it later at your leisure and say, oh, I was there. Then
you could be in the crowd. Maybe they'll show you in the crowd.
Yeah, maybe they'll show you. And then you don't have to take a bunch of notes and things like that. You can always revisit. It's like, oh, I heard that, I think, and then, go back and revisit it.
You may be the Joseph Miltier of the Lancer Conference, just shown in the crowd. People could just say, hey, look, it's Jefferson Morley in the crowd. We didn't know he was there.
Exactly. Names that roll right off the tongue. But yeah, it's a pretty cool location. I always forget the name of the hotel.
Oh, it's the Fairmont, the legendary Fairmont Hotel. I was at the legendary Roosevelt Hotel last week, which is a Hollywood icon here, for a brief staycation.
Yeah, I was wondering. It's like, where'd you go? Okay, and then all of a sudden you were like, should I stay? Should I hit the bar? But yeah, we will be at the Fairmount. So if you come in at night, this is what you will be.
Whoa, Hunley, this looks good. This is a step up. We're moving on up to the east side.
There you go.
Holy, whoa, Hunley.
Now, I don't know if this is the room, but odds are pretty good that the presentations may be in here just redone, or the dinner, or maybe both, depending on how it goes. But really nice setup here. And this is like an executive suite.
Whoa, this is look at those views. I mean, Dallas has a lot of wide
November,
open.
Dallas is a little warmer. Don't know, but maybe the pool's open, maybe not. But they do have a nice.
No, that's a heated pool. We'll be in there, Hunley and I, swimming.
No, Mark will be in there.
Deep sea diving with a snorkel, going up and down in the morning. That's a beautiful pool. But Dallas, it's always like it is freaking cold in November. Don't get me wrong.
It's up and down.
Yeah,
it's like
wet. It's like wet.
Yeah. It's kind of a mix of things. But Dallas, those who haven't been to Dallas, Texas is so huge. A lot of people think of Texas and tumbleweeds. Dallas is not like that at all. It's pretty green. It's closer to like Louisiana and more eastern. So definitely recommend you check it out. I think you will enjoy yourself very much. So let's go and roll into some questions, or did you want to talk about Luna or anything else?
Well, there's two things I want to talk about. One is the as I was saying to Eric before the show, the Luna Committee, or the House Oversight Committee, which is really run by Comer, has claimed that they will be, receiving these KGB files in the fall. Now, I don't know what that means and what shape they're in, but according to my sources, that go all the way back to people going over there after the fall of the Soviet Union, trying to get those files. So the former Soviets, who were Soviets the week before, just didn't want to give up actual physical files. I don't blame them. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are showing up, like Norman Mailer's showing up, and he's working on Oswald's tale, and they want the files. They allowed them to look at the files in a room and take notes. That was the extent of what the Soviets, or the former Soviets, did at that time in the 90s. Now, what Luna has claimed is that they're willing to ship over the copies, I assume, of the KGB files on Oswald, which apparently are truckloads of files. Again, as I pointed out before, anytime we are in some sort of political mayhem with the Russians, the stories that Oswald was a Russian gun for hire begin to pop up again. It's almost like an automatic pushback by the intelligence agencies trying to blame the Soviets for the killing of JFK. In fact, the Soviets were called immediately, so they didn't go crazy blaming them when it happened. And part of the plan, from what many people believe, was an invasion of Cuba, and also a first strike on the Soviets with nuclear weapons. This at least was the mega plan. From what we understand, LBJ squashed the mega plan. He squashed the invasion of the island of Cuba. He squashed the strike against the Soviets, despite the Joint Chiefs of Staff having that as their plan. And he gave them the Vietnam War as a quid pro quo. And he famously said, "You want your war? Here's your damn war," and signs the National Security Action Memo. However, that being said, the Soviets had tons of files on this thing because they followed world events with their own intelligence services, and they came to the conclusion, and for what it's worth, that the mastermind of the assassination was LBJ himself. Now, I don't know how that's going to go over with Jasmine Crockett out of Dallas when she gets her hands on the files, because she sits on the oversight committee.
For now, her seat's
for now, with Comer and Luna. I've said this before. Watch what you pray for, people, because there are Democrats on that committee who will not be excited to A, expose LBJ at all, and B, have the KGB come to the conclusion that the assassination was masterminded by LBJ, which they're not alone in thinking that. But this was, you have to give them street cred. You can't say the KGB is an efficient intelligence organization, except when it comes to figuring out our crap. You can't have it both ways. Either they were clowns or they were really spot on what they were doing. If you follow what I'm saying, they have a leader now who used to work for them, running negotiations with our president. So where I'm going with this long-winded story is these files may be part of the negotiating tactics.
True, and if previous instances were any kind of example, I don't know if Crockett is even going to look at it, or she's just going to filibuster like she did last time.
I don't know.
It had nothing to do with anything other than, oh, you guys are doing it all wrong. This is terrible, and it makes my city look bad. It was essentially
I don't really know her mindset, but I'm just trying to point out that not everybody wants to focus on LBJ on that committee.
Oh, no.
Which, and other people, it seems to be a dividing line between the far left school of investigators like Jefferson Morley and others who are extremely far left politically, and Oliver Stone and others who do not want this guy's name besmirched. It's as simple as that. The reason that you do not have these investigations and books and documentaries and movies into the role of LBJ is because it would bring down the entire house of cards, including Kevin Spacey, if you went there. Even having Morley on CBS this morning, showing his files to the host of the show, they had former head of the LBJ Library Foundation on there to counteract what he was talking about. So they are quite conscious of any attacks or any whispers or anything about LBJ being involved, Eric.
It'll be interesting as time goes on, though. Eventually, it'll probably have to play out.
I know. I agree. It's
like
just so much overwhelming evidence regarding his involvement. Now, the people on the far left say, Well, he was he was a politician. He was involved in the cover up, but that's as far as I'll go.
Hmm.
That's not as far as I'll go, and that's not as far as a lot of people will go who don't have a political dog in this hunt. I mean, I had this when I was on the other side. I still believed LBJ did it, and did it. So did most of Texas. From many of my friends in Texas growing up, also believed that LBJ was, one of the masterminds. Not that he physically,
Right.
did anything, but I know that, part of his commitment was to get JFK to recommit to come back to Dallas in the fall at the El Paso Hotel, the El Cortez Hotel in El Paso. That was part of his job, and various other things. I mean, trying to get Connolly out of that seat, trying to put Ralph Yarborough in there, his liberal other senator from Texas. There's all kinds of things involved in this, and people go, "There's no evidence of doing it."
Well,
I
he's
mean,
going to be removed from the ticket too, so his time
right.
is
I mean, he's
pretty
going to go
narrow.
to jail. Life magazine's coming out with him on the cover. He's about to be indicted. I mean, there's a million things indicating, and as soon as he is in a position of power, he starts calling up Captain Fritz. He's calling up people in the operating room. He's telling Fritz, "You've got your man." I mean, stuff that is so out of bounds for a sitting president. Him and his cronies are all bottling up this investigation in Dallas moments and hours after it happens. There's a lot of meat on that bone. I'll just leave it at that.
All right, I'm going to jump to locals first for the questions because they're our favorite people, shall we say? Al Parks said, "This is a question I don't think we've ever had.
Right.
What sports was JFK into? Was he a baseball guy, a football guy, or was he too busy chasing the ladies in his?"
Well, he played football at Harvard, and he was a sailing guy. Those are the two off the top of my head. Yeah, and then he had the bad back, so I don't think he was involved in other sports after he had the back injury from PT 109, being rammed by the Japanese destroyer.
Okay. Nearly Riley from locals. Your question's a little long. Please, everybody, please make them a little bit shorter.
Okay.
Do you find it interesting that James Riley was present at Warm Springs, Georgia during Roosevelt's death in 1945 while FDR's head bodyguard, Mike Riley, was on leave? And then immediately afterwards, Riley was promoted and went on to Potsdam while Riley was retired, never served under Truman, and having been with FDR at Tehran and Yalta.
No, I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with him dying in Warm Springs, FDR. I mean, I don't think he was going to die one way or the other. FDR at that point in his life, he had congestive heart failure and other medical conditions. But Rowley linked to LBJ, sewn at his hip for the rest of his life as a professional public person, public servant. He did not move 1 inch away from LBJ for the rest of his life.
All right, Lawrence, question: can you recommend a couple books to read?
Yeah, I just did. The Killing of the President by Robert Groden, and the new one, which is JFK Absolute Proof by Robert Groden, and also the first one. These are all coffee table books, by the way.
Lots of pictures. If you want a lot of pictures.
Yeah, The Search for Lee Harvey Oswald by Groden is the first one. They're incredible, especially with the holidays coming up. They're incredible coffee table gifts that have amazing photos, because that's what Bob cut his teeth as, a photo analyst and a film guy. But they're great books with chock filled with information. So those 3 Groden books really, for the family and for everyone, as a keepsake, as a souvenir, as a book on a coffee table. If you're not into reading, the Mastermind of the Assassination by Philip Nelson, which is a thick book, I would go with these coffee table books.
It's thick, but it's very readable. And if you really are saying, look, I just don't want to chew through it, you can get the Roger Stone book, which is kind of like an abridged version of Philip Nelson, or it's very influenced by it. So
yeah, it's Cliff Notes. You can get the Roger Stone Cliff Notes edition of the Philip K. Nelson Mastermind of the Assassination.
All right, Brenda Major, question: how did Judith Baker get debunked? Well,
I think
I'll go with Walt Brown, who just literally wrote a whole book on
She contradicted herself, Brenda, and it's every single thing is in that book of her contradictions. She kept getting caught in her own bullshit stories, and people noted it. Walt Brown noted it. One of the second generation legitimate JFK investigators, researchers, Walt Brown out of New Jersey. He put together all her contradictions in one book, and it turns out that she's full of shit. And it
At least
turns
at this
out,
point, she may have contradicted herself since too. I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, there might be more, but that was when that came out. I mean, I had an exchange with her at one point, and I said, you know, Judith, you said you worked for the CIA developing this biological weapon injection. You worked for the CIA to develop this injection to kill Castro. And she said, yes, that was in her book. She talks about it in great detail. And then I said, what was the actual date that you quit the CIA? And there was no response.
And I'm willing to bet you're blocked on X.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Whatever.
This was on some other thing, but
All right, Mike S. Question: in your opinion, how credible is E. Howard Hunt's confession as to the principles involved? LBJ, Cord Meyer, Bill Harvey, Morales.
yeah, I think this is his supposition, and by supposition, I don't think he's far off. I don't think he has actual evidence, and I think he says that this is based on his opinion and knowing the cats involved, and I think he might have been correct by accident or by supposition. I don't think he has a book that says these are the guys who did it. He does lay it out in a chart, and he does rationalize it to his son, who came out with a book of the information by his dad. Cord Meyer, that's a stretch for me, Cord Meyer. But he may have been involved in some other way. But I mean, to me, one of the masterminds of the assassination is David Atlee Phillips, the station chief.
Has Cord Meyer come up in the JFK files?
No, it never does.
Some of these,
it never does. It never does. That's why I'm saying that one's a stretch for Cord Meyer. But the reality of it is that, David Atlee Phillips really is involved hands-on because of the framing of Oswald down in Mexico City. And again, certain people in the JFK research community keep insisting that Oswald was down in Mexico City. And the reason it's important is because if the CIA can get you to believe he was down in Mexico City at the end of September in 1963, it absolves them of the framing of him, Eric. That's why it's so important to have people like Morley say that he was down there in Mexico City. One of the Achilles heels, and I said to you right before the show, there's three major Achilles heels of the assassination. One is the phony autopsy photos. The other is Oswald in Mexico City. And the third is the Zapruder film being altered. The Oswald in Mexico City is important because it catches them dead to rights, framing Oswald. They have worked very hard with certain JFK researchers to get them to insist that Oswald was in Mexico City, despite no photographs of him and phony photographs, phony phone calls, imposter phone calls, and everything else that goes with it. Yet we're supposed to believe that the CIA, had him down there, didn't take any photos, and that the frame up that we know so well now by David Atlee Phillips was not a frame up of Oswald, but that Oswald was down there working with Cubans, and Oswald was trying to get a visa to go to Cuba, to Havana, and then on to Moscow, because that was the master plan after the assassination, was to show immediately afterwards that Oswald was trying to get to Havana, to get to Moscow, to blame the Soviets and to blame Castro, to trigger the military of the United States into an all-out invasion of both. That being said, when that plan didn't happen because of LBJ climbing to power and not wanting to do anything else other than be in power, he immediately put the kibosh on it. But now you're stuck with one of two choices. Either they framed Oswald, thereby having precognition of the assassination by having Oswald in Mexico City on September 28th, issuing phony photos of Oswald, phony phone calls to the embassy by Oswald, as J. Edgar Hoover says to LBJ, we have a problem down in Mexico City. That's an imposter down there. Now, either it's an imposter and Oswald's not there, or Oswald is there and they weren't framing Oswald. That's why Mexico City is so important. And there's certain people in the JFK community who continue to print and put up articles that Oswald was in Mexico City, which is what they want. They want those guys to print those articles because it absolves them of the frame up.
One thing I was just thinking
Yeah.
is if Luna and crew get to Russia,
Yeah.
it'll be interesting if they have no files, because supposedly Oswald is in Mexico City.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Cuban
Yeah.
Russia embassy or Soviet embassy. So I wonder if they were going to do the James files, and I already see somebody coming up with him, where before the files drop this year, James Files is out there spouting off how, they're all going to be lies. Nothing's going to be in there. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie.
It's a mutt. I mean, yeah, I see where you're going with it, but I agree. Those files regarding Mexico City are going to be important from the KGB files to see if this guy was actually there, because the photos that we have are of another person, multiple photos of another person who they said was Lee Harvey Oswald, Lee Henry Oswald. In that case, it would be odd to me that somebody on the radar of the student directorate, the Cuban student directorate run by George Joanides out of Miami, JM Wave, would not be photographed in. This is Lee Harvey Oswald coming out of the Russian embassy. By the way, the fact that they have not produced photos, Eric, of a guy who's there for like 3, 4, 5 days, according to them, it really makes you wonder if he was there or not. Like, why would they not have any photos of Lee Harvey Oswald? They tried to do a limited hangout saying, we have a photo of a guy over the shoulder that may look like him in a bullfight. Fuck you. You're full of shit. This woman who wrote the book on Marina Oswald, Patricia McMillan, goes in right before she's about to testify before the Warren Commission, right before the Warren Commission is about to be published. I take that back. And Patricia McMillan has access to Marina Oswald in the motel where she's staying under Secret Service protection. And all of a sudden, in a book owned by Marina Oswald, these bus tickets appear and a postcard from Mexico appears because they had no evidence that he was in Moscow. This is Patricia McMillan on the right, and I think her cousin or nephew there in the middle, and Marina Oswald on the left. But Patricia McMillan is the one that plants the phony evidence because the Warren Commission kept saying, you must have some evidence of him being in Mexico City. And it's pretty clear that they don't. So all of a sudden, guess who has access to her? And guess who has the ability to put these tickets? Oh boy, to put these bus tickets and postcards into a cookbook in Marina's room in a motel. Patricia McMillan.
All right, and I wanted to maybe preemptively address another thing. You mentioned Cord Meyer, and if I recall, his mentor was James Jesus Angleton. So what was James Jesus Angleton's involvement in the assassination?
Well, all I know is Angleton goes over to get her diary, which happens in every one of these guys dying, having nothing to do as much with JFK. Is there's always somebody who goes into a safe and takes out the diary, the dossier, the documents, the memoir. They did the same thing with the head of the CIA in Mexico City when he died, famously written about by Jefferson Morley, our friend in Mexico City. I don't know if it was Angleton, but somebody from the CIA went into his safe and took out his, which was a memoir. You know, these people were writing memoirs, and she had a diary. And what's his name from the Washington Post came over, Ben Bradley, whose sister.
She who?
Mary Cordmeyer.
Okay, thank you.
Upon her death, who was his ex-wife.
Right.
Mary Cordmeyer was murdered in the park jogging by this black dude. And Angleton shows up at her house going through her stuff when Ben Bradley shows up because his wife was her sister, I believe, or some relationship between Bradley's wife and Mary Meyer. And he shows up and he finds James Angleton there. Going through her stuff, and in fact, Ben Bradley was going there to get it as well. He had his own motivations of getting it, and Bradley talks about it in his memoir of getting his hands on that diary for journalistic purposes.
So no direct tie to Oswald, the assassination.
Well, the only thing I could think of is the handling of the ONI defector program. But ONI, it was their defector program of sending phony defectors to Eastern European countries. I don't know. Angleton, I believe, was probably involved as the foreign guy for the CIA. So he may have worked with ONI on that particular project, is what I've always gathered.
And Mark did mean Mary Pinchot Meyer, not Cord Meyer. But anyway.
Well, her last name was, oh, I'm sorry. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No worries.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, they tried to get these files from NARA in, I want to say 2020 or 2019, which is the ONI phony defector files that I believe are still there and will not even be coughed up with FOIA requests. There's a bunch of people who've tried to get the ONI defector files out of NARA, and all they responded with was the defector files of guys who defected here from the East. And it's of no value to the assassination. And they were told that. And the Assassinations Record Review Board declared an MBR on them, not believe relevant, because they weren't relevant in 2019. There was no relevance to Oswald, and they know that. And I believe they are still sitting there. That being said, I'd like to see those documents. I'd like to see Ruth and Michael Payne's tax records. I'd like to see Lee Harvey Oswald's tax records. I'd like to see Marina Oswald's tax records. I don't think that's too much to ask.
No, I think that would be all right. You know, it'd be interesting if somebody could get to her, because I'm sure the argument is because they're still alive. But what if somebody went to her and said, "Hey, do you sign a release about your tax records?" Would you sign that?
I don't know why this is the holy grail after blowing the head off the president of the United States, that we can't release a tax record. It seems a little out of whack.
Fair enough. David Pilling, love all the series, been binging for the last month or so. The Murettes was mind-boggling. Do you think 100% of the files will be released this century?
Well, I mean, 100% of whatever they have. Like I said before, the protection is for foreign governments who were involved in the United States intelligence overseas. And a lot of the files overlap and cover intelligence operations involving Australia, involving Great Britain, involving Mexico, torturing Sylvia Duran. I don't think it's indirectly involved, but yeah, it's tangentially involved. And as for the Murettes, they are the most fascinating family in America. They were intelligence operatives, at least the Dorothy Marilyn Murett, who testified before the Warren Commission, ends up around the world, just like Obama's mother does, working as a teacher on a teacher's salary, gathering intelligence around the globe, and even runs into Oswald's brother, John Pick. She runs into Oswald's half-brother. I mean, the Murettes are fascinating by themselves.
That's why we have an episode on them.
Yeah, one of the Murettes, who went to Spring Hill College in Mobile, Alabama, ends up restructuring the entire judicial system of Bosnia after the war for USAID. I believe that's Charles Muret, who ends up. Excuse me?
Is it Eugene Muret, I thought?
Eugene Muret? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
He ends up working for the governor of Louisiana and then eventually for USAID, which is
a war picture of him.
Yeah, that one's probably in the 2000s, right? I mean, I think he's passed away since then. But you see where these people come in handy when you have to do something in a foreign country. To take this guy and put him over there is, dude, that's a lot. That's a lot.
This is him more contemporary at the time.
Oh yeah, that was at that time when he was in Louisiana. working for the governor of Louisiana, by the way.
All right. I'm going to point this out if I happen to see things, but here's a question I don't think we've had before. Charles Smith question: where was brother Ted Kennedy when JFK was killed?
He was in D.C., I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he was in D.C.
Karen Vaughn question: what was the most shocking fact you learned in your studies?
What's the most shocking fact I ever learned in my studies? Well, probably the framing of Oswald in Mexico City, because that really exposed the CIA to the assassination itself.
I was thinking you were going to say a dry cleaning receipt.
No, not really. That was just a fun parlor game thing. It was fun, but not as big as David Atlee Phillips. Just to reiterate, when David Atlee Phillips debated Mark Lane at UCLA in the 70s, after it was over, he told the crowd and Mark Lane, as a confession of sorts, that Lee Harvey Oswald was never in Mexico City. And that's why David Atlee Phillips is so important.
All right. Question: the probability that another nation was involved in the
Zero. Sorry, bro. Sorry. Zero.
JS, are all the rifles they found bolt action?
Yeah. They all kind of look alike too.
I don't think there were that many. I mean, I'm not a gun expert.
They were clip fed. Let me put it that way. Clip
but
fed.
Bolt action was the most common, I think, style of rifle at the time.
Yeah.
But again, all of you weapons experts, and we do hear from them in the comments. We will defer to you.
Well, keep in mind when they come down with the so-called Mannlicher Carcano, there's no clip, and somebody figured it out like 4 or 5 days later, and they said they went back to the Texas School Book Depository and found the clip, which is a bit of a stretch. But they realized that they had the metallic clip. It gets ejected from the Mannlicher Carcano when it's empty. It goes chung, and it pings out. They didn't have that when they came down with it, and they had to deal with it a couple of days later.
All right. Nick Giusti. Not able to watch live today, but just wanted to stop by and show some support. Look forward to watching it after work. Love all your JFK content. Well, thank you, Nick. Mm-hmm. Happy to have you. Thanks for stopping in. That's awesome.
Interesting.
Lisa Wolf. How long was JFK away from DC? Presumably in Texas before the assassination.
3 months. 3 months.
Which is a long damn time for a vice president, isn't it? I mean, out of all the vice presidents, I'm thinking, like, I understand they fall off the radar sometimes, but that's like maybe a week, and then you find out, they happen to be on a trip to blah blah blah. But 3 months.
Yeah, no, he was at his ranch in Texas for months. It might have been 3. I think at least 2. I mean, it's kind of bizarre. In fact, Dulles visited him there at one point. Dulles on a type of book tour for his somewhat autobiography that claims to have been written by, or ghostwritten by E. Howard Hunt, Craft of Intelligence, I think it was called. And he met with LBJ at his ranch.
Warren Glover question: do you know if any result came from the painted yellow lines on Elm Street on 22/11/63?
No, nothing ever came of it. It's a bizarre sidebar thing. Nobody ever really delved into it, and I never understood why it didn't go anywhere.
All right. Pamela Clifton, she's a regular. Thank you, Pamela. Happy Tuesday, guys. Love when you discuss daily news, but I also love JFK Q&A. Thank you, Pamela. Who was this? Warren Glover. Same question. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm trying to grab questions as they come in and keep up here. Charles Smith question: was there anything to the bullet fragments, I guess, found in JFK throat?
Presupposition question. That's the one, Charlie. No bullet fragments found in his throat. Nice try. But to address that, the entrance wound, which I believe was shot from the far side of the overpass, into his throat through the windshield, deflecting. Could have been a headshot if you think about it, Eric. But if you go through that windshield, which is beveled inward, there seems to be no explanation by JFK researchers where or how that bullet enters his throat. It does not. It does not traverse. It doesn't come out the back of his throat. But I believe it was intact, and I think it was coughed out of his throat either at the hospital or into the car, because there was fragments, as Charles is saying, there were fragments on the floor of the limo and on the seat, and this thing may have popped out of his throat when they got to Parkland to do the tracheotomy by the doctor there. But that being said, if you line up the shot like I did in this episode where I go to Dallas, it's a direct chip shot from the far side, the Terminal Annex parking lot side of the overpass. And people, even Bob Groden says, there can't be any shooting from up there because there's so many people in the middle. Well, when you go up there, it's curved and you can't see the people in the middle because it's not a straight line. It's a curved overpass. And if you get down by that lattice work at the end, which now has bushes but didn't then, you can't be seen by the people in the middle of the overpass, even today. And you could literally walk into that other parking lot and into the Terminal Annex building or drive away scot-free. I think somebody got off the one shot, went through the windshield, would have been a headshot, was deflected downward into his throat, is my theory on that shot, and then split. The headshot from the picket fence comes moments later. But that's a separate shooter, separate gun, separate everything. But I think the first shot, or in the
Actually,
case,
seconds later, by the way, not
seconds later, the first shot, which may have been the one that hits the curb and then hits the bystander. I'm saying the first shot that hits him is
Right.
the one that goes through the windshield and into his throat. Nobody really ever explains that. LBJ famously grabs that freaking limo and sends it off to Cincinnati and Dearborn to have the windshield ground up and revamped and everything else. It's kind of crazy what he does with the limo as soon as he gets his hands on it with the windshield. Now, the windshield is beveled in. There's many witnesses. There's the Alchin's photo of it. It's beyond any controversy any longer. It's even deflected, I think, the rearview mirror as it's going through and then into his throat. But if you line that up, it can't come from any other planet except the left side of the overpass, looking at the overpass. It can't come from the grassy knoll because the windshield shot is right in the middle, and the windshield shot is beveled inward. That's even been examined quite closely. So, and then, to get to the people who believe that the Zapruder film is altered, to what purpose? To what purpose? I mean, if they were going to alter it, why on earth would you leave in the headshot from the right side, Eric? If you were going, think about, I know people haven't thought this through because they just keep repeating over and over again that it's been altered. Okay, so what's the result? We're watching the right side of his head take a shot to the head and his head get blown off, and he goes back into the left. If you were going to alter it, wouldn't you have him just going forward, Eric, from a shot from behind and rub that out?
Right. No, I mean, that would be,
I mean,
that was
so
the narrative
stupid.
they're trying to push. So
yeah, it's so stupid I'm having this conversation. But to talk to my friends who believe it's altered, what good did it do, these alterations? Think about the end game, because only one group of people benefits from the delegitimizing of the Zapruder film. One is the CIA, because this is the most famous 18 seconds in the history of the world on film. If they can discredit this film, then they can begin to build a case for themselves. But even if you don't take that angle, what is it of the final finished altered product that changes the narrative of the assassination? That's what I never got from the alteration crew. You know what I mean? I don't understand how it changes the narrative.
actually, it was Bill Maher who asked that recently.
To Oliver Stone.
Yeah. Which was surprising. It was like, hey, that was actually a solid question.
It was a very solid question.
Let me see. Doll1 from Local said, was Nixon involved?
No, he left that morning. He was at the Pepsi Cola bottlers convention giving a speech. He wasn't in the government at that time, so.
All right.
Well,
And
famously, the quote before he left was that LBJ was going to be dropped from the ticket, and it's below the fold of that Dallas newspaper that Nixon says LBJ to be dropped from ticket. That's from the 21st, from the day before when LBJ was flying, when Nixon was flying home and was leaving the Pepsi Cola bottlers convention, of which he was a lobbyist lawyer for Pepsi Cola. There was a convention there in town. He gave a speech. But he does comment about LBJ was going to be dropped from the ticket in '64. Interesting.
In locals, No Sniper and Ness posted this. I can't show it because it's YouTube. I'm not going to get into it. It says 2 autopsy photos of damage to JFK's head. Hardly any damage in the left picture. Massive damage to the head on the right picture. That was the other thing we were talking about beforehand. That is problematic. Can you break that down? Why are
I mean the autopsy photos are phony, and everybody knows they're phony. Yet book after book after book, eventually, like there was no books and no JFK researcher would do anything about the autopsy photos because it had been established beyond a reasonable doubt that they were faked. But after many years and a desire to publish books, people in the JFK community said, fuck it. Let's take the fake autopsy photos, say they're real, and make a book out of it. And that's where we are. That's what I was talking to you about before the show. Mm-hmm. So in the early years, in the 70s and into the 80s, none of the researchers would work with the fake photos because everybody knew they were fake. But that wore off after a while. And then they used the fake photographs to make a book out of it, which is where we are today with multiple books showing, including this cat here, looking at that and trying to make something out of it, which is what they wanted. That's why they did it. And by the way, that people would do this.
I was going to say, and by the way, for those of you who want to say, well, how is it you can say the autopsy photos are fake, but the Zapruder film wasn't changed? I would like to point out the fact that there's 2 different autopsy photos that show completely different things. Yeah. In of itself says that there's only one Zapruder film. Yeah. Everybody says that frames have been changed or removed, but nobody has produced a second Zapruder film, as far as I know, that's something different.
So it's a funny thing about Dino Brugioni, who comes out 5 minutes ago and says that he helped alter the Zapruder film. Now, Brugioni worked for the National Photographic Interpretation Center, right? So he says that 2 Secret Service agents showed up the night of the assassination with the original Zapruder film that he helped to alter. When questioned as to the name of the 2 Secret Service agent, which has been 1 Secret Service agent and 2, depending on what day Brugioni is telling the story, he doesn't remember the names of the people who brought him the most famous film in world history. They're just guys who flung it onto his porch and drove away, we're supposed to believe. Okay. When pressed upon it years later, he came up with the name Bill Smith as one of the Secret Service agents. The reason it's important is because if Dino Brugioni ever gave you the name of the Secret Service agent who brought him the Zapruder film, you could easily go to that agent and verify it. He knows that, so he doesn't give you the fucking names. What this douchebag did was he gave you the name of Bill Smith. And if you go to our old friend Vince Palomaro, like I did again this morning, just to reiterify it, there's no Bill Smith who ever worked for the Secret Service. So he made up a fucking name, this Brugioni, because he made up a story, and to give you the name of a Secret Service agent would bust the story wide open. Again,
you mean he could have made up the most common last name and maybe the most common first name on the planet as a possible person?
Yeah. Vince and I were laughing about it again this morning because he chose Bill Smith. I swear to God, this guy Brugioni is a piece of work. And you say, Mark, but he seems so righteous. He worked for a group called the Central Intelligence Agency. And even with the National Photographic Interpretation Center, where he made his bones in World War II, by the way, in World War II, and some of it in the Cuban Missile Crisis, he was the chief of information. I want you to understand this 3-word title, chief of information. That's what the guy did for the National Photographic Interpretation Center. He blew up some boards as an analyst. That's like an art project almost. And all of a sudden, in the year 2015 or 2003, whenever the hell he hooks up with Doug Horn, all of a sudden he begins to say how he altered the Zapruder film. Give me a fucking break. Give me a break with this guy.
All right. Otto on Locals said, speaking of LBJ, when is this long-awaited series finally dropping?
What series?
The LBJ audio drama. And Mark is looking at it right now, what we have, to make sure that it's up to snuff. So it should be coming out imminently.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
So soon, Otto. Very, very soon. There is a product. We just want to make sure that it's good before we put it up. There had to be some reworking done before. That's why the massive delays. Let me see. Let's go back to here. Helena Oleshnik.
Getting close.
No, I can't say the J. Olenek.
Okay.
I think it is. Question. I was just wondering, will the LBJ's daughters interfere with any of the investigations of their father now?
Absolutely.
Sure.
And as they've interfered, so will the descendants of Bill Moyers. So will the descendants of Jack Valenti, Courtney Valenti, who's still a major producer in Hollywood, a major force here. She used to be the head of Warner Brothers. There are people who made their bones on the LBJ administration, and they're not going to allow him to be dragged through the mud by anybody, in this JFK community. Just not going to happen.
All right. Matthew Parker. Question. Can you guys can you give your feelings on Bill O'Reilly's book and Marcello's role in the assassination?
Well, O'Reilly's book is not even Cliff Notes. I don't even know what O'Reilly's book is. It's kind of like
I think he said the Oswald
JFK book JFK book for retards or something. It's not really a book. It's kind of like a zine or something. And Marcello's role, I mean, look, Marcello, he had David Ferry as an employee, but you can't understand, they did more than the JFK assassination. These guys had a lot of other projects. At one point, Oswald blew the whistle on David Ferry working at the Customs House in New Orleans, where David Ferry was helping the mob, Marcello's mob, learn about incoming shipments and tariffs on goods that were coming into the port of New Orleans through the Customs House, which they would then steal. Oswald tipped the police. I don't know who he was working for at the time, possibly FBI at that point, that Ferry was the guy who was telling Marcello when shipments were coming in through the Customs House. And Marcello had guys in the Customs House. It's kind of like the Lufthansa heist, in the JFK Lufthansa heist. They would have people on the inside telling them when shipping was coming in and bills of lading that could tell them, lading could tell them what's in the shipping, which they would then steal. Ferry was arrested for this, and he believed that some people believe that's what led to the fight between Ferry and Oswald.
All right. Let's see here. Osvalda Noda? Question. Again, Mark, why do you dismiss James Files' story?
Because he's contradicted himself so many times, and so many JFK researchers in the early 90s, just like Judas Very Baker, caught him in dozens and dozens of contradictions as to where, when, and why, and how he was involved.
The fireball gun that wasn't.
There's a lot of them where he just contradicted himself and was caught lying.
There are people who put out stuff on that. Maybe we got to talk to Dr. Walt Brown and say, hey, can you write one on James Files so we could just point to it?
He probably could, but again, who gives a fuck? He's a con man. He actually is a con man who's a
his name's not even James Files. It's James Sutton. If anybody wants to know,
it's a waste of my time. It's a waste of my time, bro. Sorry for your loss.
All right, Pirate Kin, ahoy, mates. Question. Why haven't we heard more about Jacqueline Kennedy as a potentially important JFK assassination?
Well, there's a reason for that. She's dead. That was one of the reasons. Sure. And then she famously sued William Manchester to keep her own interview out of his own book that she hired him to do, which was The Death of the President, where her and Bobby Kennedy went to court to get the chapter removed from the book that she hired him to do. And she freely gave an interview. And in that interview, she freely says that she believes that LBJ was involved in the death of supposedly, allegedly, in that chapter that was removed, was her belief that LBJ was involved in the assassination of her husband. That being said, the chapter was removed. Apparently, RFK and her went berserk. RFK read it in galley form before it was released. It was also released, I believe, in segments in Look or Life magazine at the time it was 1967 when the book was about to be released to promote the book. Then they read it in galley form, flipped the fuck out, and went to court to stop Manchester from releasing not the book, but the chapter. And he had to remove that chapter. He put it in his safe in his house up in New England. When he died, everybody was expecting his son to release the chapter. And inexplicably, the son put it back into the safe and closed the safe again, Eric.
Makes me wonder if there might be something else in that chapter, too.
Well, that's pretty damning. I mean, if
Mm-hmm.
she's being interviewed over the phone or I think it was in person that he interviewed her over a number of days.
All right. K-Dog. Was Rose Cherami's story investigated by the feds?
Which feds?
I'm
The
guessing
FBI? The FBI? Yeah, I think they thought she was a heroin addicted prostitute. In bad company. At least that's what they released as information.
S. Hicks, question. Did you see the photos that support two shooters in grassy knoll, 25 feet apart, two huge puffs of smoke?
No, I did not. Do you have those, Steve? Mr. Hicks? Do you have those photos?
Yeah, I haven't seen them.
I haven't seen those. Maybe Hicks has some evidence we haven't seen, Hunley. You know how hard it is to put phony smoke into a photo? It's almost impossible.
Sure.
It really is.
Or at least subtle enough to make it appear real. Yeah. I mean,
It's
you have
almost
to overlay it.
Yeah, of course. It takes you 5 seconds in art class.
By the way, folks, get ready for a lot to come down the line. What do you want to bet, Mark, that we're going to start seeing AI photos generating whatever the hell we want it to be?
Absolutely.
So that's
going to see new discoveries by people who are going to use people in the JFK community as cutouts to publish books or documentaries with AI generated material.
And this is something that I'm specifically concerned about because I use AI to try to enhance pictures that I show on here.
Oh, nobody's blaming you.
No, I'm just saying just so it looks clear. But there's certain things that I worry about, and I want to point out because it's very easy using AI, especially when it's an interpretation and there's like a reflection or a shadow, and all of a sudden it's like that little reflection gets turned into, oh, that's the barrel, or that's
they could go further than that. They could go completely hog wild.
Oh yeah. So it's going to be crazy. Marsha P, any chance Mark and Eric will interview Marina? I don't think she does interviews with anybody.
Yeah, she's not doing interviews with anybody.
I mean, obviously, if she was available,
Larry Schnapp is the guy. Larry Schnapp is the guy to get to her. The lawyer that we had on, he is he's excited and trying to get her or the daughters to sign some sort of court document to allow them to continue researching and doing different things. The daughter's signature, either one of them, would open doors that they can't open as independent researchers. In other words, the family has legal gravitas.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. They do have rights. And when you have a murder, there's no statute of limitations. So,
right. So Larry has been, they flew Marina to Massachusetts at one point to try to figure out a way to open this case. And surprisingly to Larry, they couldn't figure out a legal angle. And he thought that was really ridiculous because there's so many different legal angles you could do with her help. And the things seem to be manipulated.
Really? In this?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, this whole thing where they flew her to Boston and they sat around a hotel for a couple of days trying to come up with legal angles. They came up with nothing. And this was like 8 lawyers. And Larry, I'm just paraphrasing, seemed to believe, as I did, that this seems impossible, that they couldn't come up with a legal angle with her.
Yeah, we had Larry on a month ago today,
Oh, wow.
approximately. If
Okay.
you guys want to check
Yeah.
out that bit, it's Q&A and Larry Chapin is very, very interesting, very illuminating. You guys might want to check that out. Question, George McCabe. If you could have one JFK assassination unknown question answered, what is it? Love you guys.
Do, 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 do. Let me see. One question answered. One question answered. Let's see.
Good question, by the way. It is a good question. George.
One question answered. Okay, who's the guy in the photos in Mexico City?
Well, Jim DiEugenio claims that is so Ralph Ebb. Hold on, I've got
Gelb. Gelb.
Gelb. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Ralph Gebb.
Gebb. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've heard that. And also that Gebb was a lineman on the football team that Mac Wallace was the star quarterback on, which was Woodrow Wilson High School in Dallas. I've also heard that he was a star lineman. That particular photo that Eric showed, if that is indeed Ralph Gebb, there was a Ralph Gebb on that high school team with Mac Wallace. This guy looks football-y. If you look at his body,
yeah,
he looks athletic is what I'm getting at.
This is great. By the way, the very next question I had marked was Kevin Patrick, and it happened to be, has the Oswald impersonator in Mexico City been identified? So,
we believe it's Ralph Gebb, but no one's ever come forth as Ralph Gebb himself or positively identified him. If it is Ralph Gebb, there is a connection to Mac Wallace, is all I'm saying, because Ralph Gebb, I believe, played football with Mac Wallace at Woodrow Wilson High School in Dallas.
All right, George McCabe. Again, I think. Question, Mark, do you think the actual autopsy photos still exist?
Maybe with RFK's, I don't know. I don't know if they do. I don't see the purpose of keeping them, like the brain. RFK took the brain remains, whatever that was, a couple of grams of gray matter that was in the bucket, the slop bucket. He took those from Kennedy, from Lincoln, Evelyn Lincoln, who was sitting on them. So he took those, and I have a feeling that he took the autopsy photos too, RFK Sr.
If those could be, I mean, I don't know if it's the case, but if those could be tracked down,
yeah,
always do a DNA test on it. There's enough Kennedy relatives to determine.
You mean the brain matter? The brain
right.
matter?
If it was actually his brain matter,
or if
it was a replacement
I don't think that's
from
around, but I believe that we seem to know that RFK took that pail with the brain matter in there, and because of that, I always thought that he took the autopsy photos as well, so they wouldn't be exploited.
All right, I think No Sniper and Nest and Locals is pushing it a little further on that. It's again more pictures of it. Good question: does Mark believe that the 2 autopsy pictures showing massive damage to the top, apparently back of JFK's heads, are real, and the one in the back of his head is fake?
No. I think they're all fake. That's what I've been trying to say.
I thought so. That's why I wanted.
That's
to
what I'm trying to
reiterate.
say. I mean, they would like you to believe they're real, and people will take the bait. They will take that bait, and they'll study them for hours, and they'll look at them and look at this, Barbara, look at this thing here, this flap, that flap. Part of the reason they went to Bethesda was there was a lot of body parts at Bethesda. It's a naval hospital and an educational facility. They had tons of brains. The brain they used had been soaked in formaldehyde for a long time. It was a brand new, not brand new. I mean, it was a brain that was preserved in formaldehyde, which was completely different than the brain of JFK.
All right. Let's see. David Pilling. Almost bedtime. here in Scotland has still not heard Ruth Payne's voice and
Tough
needs
break,
some
buddy.
dots to take to sleep.
Tough, not tough. Why don't you drink about a quart of scotch? That may help you in Scotland, David.
It might already be past his bedtime. I don't know how long.
You better start drinking that scotch.
Mark does not perform on demand. What is it? You are not a puppet or what? What is it?
I was watching. What was I watching? Oh, which I'll get into tomorrow when we do Andrew Dice Clay. There is a scene in Dice, the Showtime reality show years later, where he plays a self-deprecating version of himself, and he goes to Lorraine Bracco, who runs the Tangiers. Lorraine Bracco in this plays a person who owns the Tangiers Hotel, and she tells he's on the balls of his ass, Dice, which was not untrue. And she says, I am hiring you, giving you multi-million-dollar number of years to be here. And he says, this is unbelievable. And she says, yeah, I'm just going to write you a check right now. And he goes, you're going to give me a check right now? That's unbelievable. And she writes him a check, and he turns around and says, dance, monkey. And she goes, he goes, what are you doing? He goes, you know how much fucking money you owe this casino, Dice? You think I'm going to pay you? You're going to work here for 5 years for free. Now dance, monkey, dance. And he goes, oh, Jesus Christ. We'll get into it tomorrow on What's Up with Lord Buckley, The Secret Life of Andrew Dice Clay at 6 o'clock.
By the way, on Andrew Dice Clay, lately I've been just, for whatever, wasting time late at night watching Celebrity Apprentice. And Dice was season 2 of Celebrity Apprentice. If anybody wants to,
it's very interesting because he said he doesn't want to get into the politics of Trump, but he says that, or always said, simply that Trump had big fucking cojones, that he's from Brooklyn and he's got big balls. He's got bigger balls than me. That was his way of complimenting Trump.
All right, now somebody did ask me on the side, you are doing his story like George Carlin. He's not coming on, correct?
No, retard, he's not. That's right. That's right. That's right. Not you. I'm not talking about you. Whoever said that. Yeah.
All right. Well, Mark knows the guy, so you never know with him. But
it's easier for me to just do the. He probably doesn't want to hear me doing it, but I'm sure he will. I mean, the Carlin thing immediately contacted by his daughter. Immediately.
Oh, Kelly?
Yeah, absolutely. Telling me I was wrong and didn't explain why, and told me to read the books and watch the documentaries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, she was probably annoyed because the Judd
Apatow.
Whatever that part when he pointed out the 22.
It took her 5 minutes to get in the comment section.
Okay. Well. Good.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad they're watching.
Make sure you pin the comment. No.
Yeah.
All right.
You know what her biggest complaint was? Her father didn't do coke in the 60s. He did coke in the 70s.
Oh, well, shit.
But I never said it.
Okay. Actually, I think you said that he discovered coke. No, you mentioned weed in the 60s.
Of course.
And I think in the 70s, you said he discovered this new thing called coke that was rolling.
I was emphatic about it. So she wrote a phony comment to find something that I was wrong at, which was a lie.
Oh,
people are desperate, bro. People do crazy things.
Wow. Well, I mean, the whole thing was kind of praising the guy. I mean, it was a sympathetic look. It wasn't
absolutely.
So.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, back to
back to this. Sorry.
George McCabe. Has anyone tried to gain access to Sylvia Duran before?
She's talked on the record quite a bit. Yeah, she testified before the House committee. She was tortured by Mexican intelligence at the hands of the director of the CIA, which is one of the reasons they did not want those Mexico City files to be revealed. And she was severely tortured and rearrested again by Mexican intelligence at our direction. They did not give a shit. We told them to pick her up and torture her.
Wow. Let me see. Back to locals. Jack Dawcake. Question, Mark. Have you gotten up to that commune where the Payne's son lives?
Oh, no, it's joking about. I remember we were talking about it. No, I never got up there.
Yeah, well, probably won't. It's just more having fun.
Yeah, it seems like a schlep.
Let me see here.
I don't know. I don't think he was gay, but if you have more information, let me know.
Oh, the Curtis LeMay. Yeah.
No, I was just reading that on the
Yeah,
screen.
yeah. I didn't get a chance to read. Okay, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Never heard
Did we
anything
think that
about it.
Curtis LeMay was gay? We don't know that.
We
Now,
don't know that.
General
I mean,
Walker,
General
on the
Walker-
other hand, that
Yeah.
there's implications that General Walker
Well, he was
maybe he was
arrested twice in a men's room. There's more than implications.
Anyway, Dave DeMoss, question: if Connolly was shot by one shot, was he a secondary target?
I don't know. I mean, I think the fact of the matter is nobody except me has been saying anything about this for 25 freaking years, and nobody seems to give a shit. I mean, it's pretty clear to me, like the shot through the windshield into the throat, that the angle of how he shot has to come straight down from the rooftop. And then they find the 303 British Enfield. Okay. And then they arrest Wesley Buell Frazier. Okay. And then Frazier is flipped after threatened with the electric chair. Okay. Maybe Frazier's got something to do with it. He claims to have been eating lunch in the basement that day for reasons that have no logical explanation, and never does it before, never does it again, and has the same exact gun that they find on the rooftop down by the Hertz sign. And it seems that whether Connolly is the target or not, he yells out, "They are going to kill us all. They are going to kill us all." That's what's coming out of Connolly's mouth as bullets rain down upon that limousine on November 22nd, 1963. A little odd to say that, Eric.
Now, wasn't that a kind of a trivia point, though, that if Oswald was actually involved, that Connolly was probably more of a viable target for him than
because he had written a letter to Connolly as governor trying to get his release from the Marines into an honorable discharge from an unconditional. I forget what grade of his discharge was. He wanted it for employment purposes, and in fact, when he was in Austin, he tried to see Connolly, and he was out of town, and he never got to see him. But he wanted it reversed because of employment. He was not getting hired because of his status of his discharge.
Right. Which wasn't dishonorable. It was kind of one of those.
Right.
It's like nowadays it would be called a general discharge, I believe. Right. Ken Martin, what is the significance of all the activities in New Orleans surrounding the trademark, Sean, etc.?
Sean. Around the trademark? Well, regarding Clay Shaw was the one who put the trademark on the map. He's kind of like, that's his Trump Tower. But regarding the activities around there are, people passing out flyers. There's political activity. Oswald's passing out flyers with Ted Cruz's father for the Fair Play for Cuba committee. And then there is the student directorate led by Carlos Bringuier, who gets into a shoving match with Oswald, and they get arrested, and there's a little show trial, and it's on the news, and then that leads to the debate. All of that happens around the trademark. In fact, in one of the photos that I have, I don't know if I gave it to Eric, but that has Oswald passing out the flyers at the trademark with Ted Cruz, you could see all the way in the background is Clay
Ted's
Shaw.
dad.
What's that?
Ted's dad.
Ted's dad, yeah.
Let me see. Do I have?
Again, not that Ted's dad was involved in the assassination, but Ted's dad was used by intelligence people because he came out of Cuba.
All right. I don't think this is the one with Ted's dad, but it is with Oswald passing out flyers.
Yeah, I think that's Ted's dad. See
on
that
the
over
left,
there?
maybe.
Yeah, on the left, that's Ted's dad. And what's his name over there with the slick back hair?
Sorry, I can't.
Was the advertising guy who created a anti-communist league. He was part of the debate, trying to get that debate on the map, and WDSU. I forget the guy's name, but he was
Ed something.
Butler. Ed Butler.
Butler
Of Inca, INCA. That's, if you look at that photo, that is Ed Butler right there. A very infamous character involved in. He was from California. Eventually went back to California. He was a CIA adjacent operative involved in anti-communist propaganda out of New Orleans.
All right. Let me see. K Digital with, I don't know that currency. KES. I'm not sure. That's a new one for me. Your opinion of Robert Crowley's book, Regicide and Operation Zipper, is it just deep state BS?
Yeah, I always thought it was deep state BS. I think Crowley might be a pseudonym too.
Like Alistair's grandkid. No. All right. Let's see. Davy and Pam Beveridge. Interesting. Let me see. Question. What's your thoughts on one of the shots coming from the far end of the overpass at ground level?
Okay, well, I'm trying to understand the overpass at ground. It's not at ground level.
Under, I guess they're saying.
Yeah, that's too far exposed. It's too exposed. There's too many people over there.
Well, it's also an odd angle to.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the video we did, Mark Goes to Dallas, I stand at the place that I'm talking about, which is right above what you're saying, on the overpass. And the lattice work and the bottom of the overpass is a perfect hiding place.
Well, also because of the overpass, like underneath, you can't get as far over as you can up top.
Right, absolutely. And you can't get away. More importantly, where are you going to go?
True.
Yeah,
true.
no, you could walk into the terminal annex or into that parking lot right there. It is a perfect spot. A perfect spot.
And by the way, I haven't heard it for a while, which is nice. We don't believe in storm drains either.
Yeah, Robert in his book has a series of photographs from the storm drain point of view. And it's quite funny what you do see. It's like this little narrow strip of as you would imagine.
Sure.
It's a very, very limited view.
I'm glad he took those pictures, though.
Yeah, I know. So, I don't know if he took them, but somebody took them, and they're in his book.
Either way.
His book. Yeah.
Mr. Milkcake question. Ultimately, are there two different cases, the Kennedy case and the Oswald case? Yeah.
What do you mean? The murder of each one?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could almost say a third case of the Oswald setup.
Our third case of the Tippett murder.
Who
murdered Tippett?
Walker. How about Walker? Because remember they threw in that Oswald supposedly shot Walker in April or whatever.
Walker himself. He's the one that called the newspaper in Germany.
And nobody questions it. It's like, yeah, he did. We just randomly, he just says, and he did it. How do you know that, General Walker?
Well, Crawford gets brought back to Dallas by the FBI and tells the Warren Commission that he fled Dallas after the assassination so they wouldn't pin it on him. And they were incredulous, saying, why would anybody pin the assassination of the president on you? And what they didn't realize was he's referring to the Tippett murder.
Which would make sense. See.
Yeah, Crawford is a good guy to look at. You may want to look at our episode on Crawford because he is involved up to his freaking neck. He fled in hot pursuit. The FBI brought him back from northern Michigan and northern Wisconsin, where he was fleeing to a cabin in the woods, brought back by the FBI, and very, very shaky, flaky explanation as to what he was doing.
All right. This is a weird question on locals. MA14, Mark and Eric, can you show photos while you're speaking?
I think we're doing that. Right?
I do that quite a lot. I mean, I don't do it all the time. Like, if you're talking to about the autopsy photos, no, because I don't want this to be pulled down and I don't want it to be demonetized.
Oh, you mean the fake autopsy photos?
Whatever you want to call them.
He just
really gruesome looking.
It's so funny because people at the end of the day just don't care. They don't care.
Maybe.
And that's kind of the genius of the intelligence groups, just saying eventually they'll just think it's the real photos. They may not in 1975 and maybe not in 1985, but 2025, it's the only thing to look at. So people are going to look at it, especially if you come out with a new book saying the autopsy photos revealed for the first time. I'm reading these books going, wait a minute, I'm looking at the fake autopsy photos again. But now I'm analyzing them, Eric. You don't understand. I am analyzing the fake autopsy photos.
Yeah. Yep. Let me see. Martin Brennan, question: what do you think of Daniel Sheehan, and would you invite him on your program?
I think he's, again, an extremely far left legal operative who looks at the world through Nixonian Watergate glasses. Everything that he talks about, the assassination, I think he thinks Nixon did it, as a matter of fact. So he's just too much of an ideologue to take him seriously.
Okay. Let's see.
Martin Brennan.
Who? Oh,
That's the guy's name.
oh, okay, Martin. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to track up the next thing. We've got Church Fart with a couple photos, but he's saying, does this photo show what appears to be a clip? And I think he's, maybe, I can't quite tell.
Yeah, it looks like a clip, but it could be a different gun.
And also has shared this picture with the clip missing.
Right. That's what I was talking about. The clip was missing, and that other one, I think, is a day or two later. But this is that afternoon. So where the clip went, we don't know. We don't know.
All right.
Apparently, the clip still had 3 bullets in it, or 2 bullets in it, which is odd because the clip doesn't get ejected until it's empty. So that was another point of controversy by gun experts.
Okay. S. Hicks, question. When is Dulles Airport going to change its name to Trump Airport? Dulles helped kill Kennedy.
That's an interesting question. I mean, how these names get,
well, it could be it could be Foster, John Foster Dulles.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, the other Dulles. Sorry, no.
It could be John Wilkes Booth or his brother James Wilkes Booth.
There you go. I don't know. Dr. Evil 814 has been a member for 25 months, so over 2 years. Thank you very much.
Abby Normal Brain.
Abby Normal Brain.
Abby Normal Brain. Well, the brain, the weight of the brain weighed more than the actual brain that was there, which is kind of weird. The weight of the brain weighed more than the brain existed in Kennedy's head.
Crazy stuff. All right. K Digital again. Is Crowley book registered? Didn't you ask that earlier? Yeah. This is asked me earlier.
Okay. Yeah, you put it up earlier.
Again. Yeah. So again, same answer as before. David Rogers is a new member. Thank you very much, David. And let's see. Bill M. just signed up for Virtual Plus for Dallas.
What do you get for Plus? It's like something else above Virtual?
You know what? It may be, I don't know for sure, but Virtual could be you watch it live if it's being broadcast live, and then Plus you get to download it later.
Or maybe it's interactive. Maybe there's some interaction.
I don't know, but I do know that sometimes with these events, they'll have a virtual, like you can watch it for up to 30 days. And then they might have another layer that you can download it or have it permanently. So whatever it is that you can keep watching until the end of time, you know, good stuff. Let me see. Chuck Phillips. Any chance you'll have Matt Crumpton on AUS?
Which guy is Matt Crumpton?
I think he does the Solving JFK podcast. I've been on there before. I believe that's Matt. He does pretty good stuff. I don't know. We haven't really looked into it or so. In general, and I think Mark will confirm this, we don't have a lot of guests. Occasionally we might have somebody pop on.
It's not that kind of show. If we do, it's usually the top of the heap, not a newcomer to the JFK world. I mean, if we have somebody on like G. Eugenio or Paul Blau or Larry Schnapp, who's the head of Mary Farrell, and people like Vince Palomara, it's not just a show for just random. Not to discredit his work, I'm sure he does fine work, but we want to have the number one person who's been doing it for decades.
Right. And you never know. We may, it depends too over time, and we don't know. We haven't met him a lot. Lee Dorsey, thank you very much. Let me go catch up here. Question: why in the Z film is the skull flap above his ear when he gets shot instead of the back of the head?
I don't understand the question. Why is the skull flap above his ear when he gets shot instead of the back of the head?
Well, one, it's
Yeah,
forward
right,
and
right. It
through,
would
so
rip
it
the
would
thing.
go
Yeah, I know.
through.
Right. Why didn't they reverse that? If you're altering the film, all you had to do was cut out. Here's simply how you alter it. You cut that crap out. You have him going forward. End of story. But they didn't. Why didn't they do it? Why didn't they alter the film to cut out that? Just have him going forward from a shot from behind. Oh, hickory dickory dock.
By the way, did you know that Mark will be talking about Andrew Dice Clay tomorrow?
To answer his question, I don't know the answer to that question because it's one of these presupposition questions.
Kind of one. It's sort of like if you really think about it and you think about the angle.
Yeah,
and
it does look legit. Yeah, I mean, if
then
it came in here, it would blow out a flap. There would be a flap, you know.
But
and then
even that, as it's going by, it's not like it's a bullet. It's going faster than frames of film.
Right, that's true too. That's true too.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know. Uncle Bob's Carnivore. Question: was the Texas School Book Depository leased in June of 1962? Building was owned by D.H. Bird.
I
think that's when he
understand
bought
that
it, was
question.
like
The guy bought the building, and then he began to work on the building in '62. He bought the building previously, but he didn't do anything with it. And then he got involved with it in June of '62. That is correct. D.H. Bird. And he began those renovations that led to all those workmen putting down new floors and everything else that was going on in there, which is kind of odd. And then he took the window. After it was done, he took the sniper window to his house, and he had people over, and they would look at the window. He took out the whole frame, put it in his living room as a commemorative item of the assassination.
All right, I think we have a James File accolade here. This is a
Right on.
Dispassionate Patriot, and
Right on.
I'm just showing because I think it's funny.
Right on.
You believe Jackie's retracted story, but not Files? Amazing, Mark.
Who was Jackie's retracted story?
He was talking about Jackie Kennedy, the piece, the chapter that is put in the safe. Which
Well, there
is a chapter. It does exist. It is in the safe.
Wait, but I'm saying there's plenty of law documents and court case involving the retracted chapter. I mean, I don't. And I don't think Jackie Kennedy has the same gravitas as a convict named James Files. So yeah, it's a little weird. And I think she was very close and an eyewitness to the assassination.
Right. But you go ahead. You're right. James
Yeah,
Files.
go ahead.
No,
Knock
he's the
yourself
man.
Dude,
He
nobody's
knows it all.
begrudging you, bro. It's just not happening on this channel. I can't enjoy yourself. There's plenty of things out there, I presume, that you could watch on this guy.
Oh, there's interviews. He has full
Go ahead,
blown. You're gonna watch them over and over.
Go ahead. What do you want from us? Dude, what do you want from us?
Oh, and when you can follow that up, maybe, with a little bit of Dorothy Kilgallen, Judith Mary Baker, and go hang out with the Tramps and Charles Harrelson. There's a lot of things that you can pursue. A lot of things.
Look, I got my hands full with the truth. I don't need to go down another road.
Let me see. Lee Dorsey. Your opinion of Family of Secrets by Russ Baker.
Another fraud. Sorry. He's been pretty discredited, by the way. Not by me, but by people who know that book.
All right. Richard Roberts. Question: how did LBJ sneak out to be at the Murchison house for the meeting without Secret Service protection? How do we know that? How do we know he didn't have it?
I don't understand. How did he sneak out? He took a limo, he, went back to the hotel at Fort Worth, and got into this fight with LBJ. Yeah, as Eric says, why do you think there's no Secret Service protection? Again, these are presuppositions. Well, let's analyze Richard Roberts' question. He presupposes that he sneaks out, which is bizarre, and then he somehow gets away without Secret Service protection. These are two suppositions.
No, I agree.
I'm
just confused. I'm like,
yeah.
And also, we're talking about 1963. It's not like the vice president's the protection was as huge back then as
in his own
now.
town. It's his own town.
So I don't know. Okay, well, I'll just say I don't know.
Okay.
Odd Spot wants to know if the hope this is not a preposition. It's a long one though. If in the Texas School Book Depository was there not flooring work going on with 5 to 6 people on 6th floor that day, including Lee Harvey Oswald? How would a sniper set up with all that action going on, especially when we don't know when the motorcade is going by? I feel that is not probed enough. Also, is there chicken bone sandwiches, Dr. Pepper, and menthol smokes served at the Lancer? Funny.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, I mean, obviously there were workers up there, and Oswald, but everybody was going up and down from the thing. They make it seem like Oswald was glued to the 6th floor or something. There are guys working, moving all those boxes to one side or the other all week to put down flooring, as you can imagine, because there's boxes there. And you got Bonnie Ray Williams eating lunch there. You got people coming and going from the whole floor, every floor. Just a normal course of work. You would get the boxes, bring them down on the order, put them in the back, and put them on a truck to go wherever the school books were going. Yeah.
All right.
It's hard to get rid of Bonnie Ray Williams. It's another Achilles heel to the Warren Commission. The Bonnie Ray Williams is like a 5th Achilles heel, because he assembles those boxes to make a little chair for himself and a little table out of the boxes for lunch. And the chicken bones and the diet and the Dr. Pepper and the menthol cigarettes. The reason we know about them, because of Walter Cronkite. This is Walter Cronkite. The assassin ate a chicken sandwich while waiting for the president's motorcade. We know that because he said it to 20 million people on the CBS Evening News.
All right. And let me see. This is Church Fart again, and he's claiming, who is this person, and saying not Billy Lovelady. I don't know. So
who is what person?
It's a person here circled. I don't know where this picture is. I don't know the context.
This is way after. Yeah, this is afterwards, I think, right?
Right. He's saying
no, actually it's probably before. There's no cops.
Okay. Anyway,
I mean, this might be an hour before.
Is that Lee Oswald? Is that Buell Frazier? I don't know.
This picture, I think, is taken way before, right? Or no?
I have no idea.
Oh no, they're looking up. I don't know. I don't see any cops in the picture, so I'm wondering when this photo was taken.
Okay, yeah, I don't know the context, but the same person said that the only film you believe in, Mark, is a Zapruder film.
What?
Yeah, that's the only one you think is real. That's what he said.
I don't understand. It's hard for me to have a conversation with that kind of information.
That's true.
I don't know what to say.
I always love that. But anyway, thank you. Robert Marin. Why was Ruby at previous press conferences was the plan to assassinate Oswald?
Oh, yeah. He was going to kill him Friday night, Saturday night. He had to kill him Sunday because they were going to have a press conference on Monday. Yeah, he was definitely locked and loaded Friday night, Saturday night. He just couldn't get an angle to do the job. He had already been paid for his work, so he had to do it that weekend at some point. I mean, he had all weekend to do it, Eric. I mean,
right. I'm sure he was probably saying, okay, can I get away? I mean, I'm
whatever.
Sure he didn't want to get caught, so he probably was like, no, it doesn't look good here.
How could he get away? I mean, think about it. You're in the police station, for Christ's sakes.
Well, no, that was Sunday. That's when he had no more time left. So I don't know. I don't know. Weird. Charles Smith, question. Was the film footage Oliver Stone referred to that a local TV station has not been released?
Well, the Secret Service went around and confiscated all the newsreel footage for the most part. I mean, think how odd that is. You know, they go around and they take all the newsreel footage from the local TV stations.
I actually don't think that's as odd
Is it as odd as the journalist from the Dallas Morning News who had her copy rewritten by the Secret Service and her editor, and the article came out the next day about Ruby being at Parkland, and it was edited, and she went to her editor and said, "Who rewrote this?" And he said sheepishly, "The Secret Service."
In fairness, the Secret Service collecting is a little maybe odd, but FBI would not be, or the police.
Well, this was
because
right.
That's
This was
a standard
all
criminal
Yeah,
investigation.
this is all
that
Secret Service. Again, abuse of power. They're not an investigative body in that regard, and they have no warrants. They have nothing, and they're gathering up every shred of everything. You're right. The FBI would be the ones to do it, but they didn't. It was a Secret Service.
or even Dallas police,
Or even Dallas police.
because it's a
Absolutely.
local crime.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the idea of confiscating or grabbing that, you would give it back later, supposedly. But in an investigation, I know, like right now, you would question people. Hey, did you have a cell phone out? Were you filming that? Can I have your phone? We'd like to extract the files from it. It's not completely unheard of. Barry D. Hatchett. Question: whatever became of the Harper fragment, which is from the occipital parietal region of the brain?
I think it was given to the doctors at Bethesda to actually show the part that was missing. I think they flew it to the autopsy, and those guys looked at it later, Boswell and the other doctor, to see the missing part of their jigsaw puzzle. I mean, it's a pretty big piece. This kid Harper was a pre-med student, was the one who found it, like right in the middle of the street. The next day, by the way, I think it was like a day or two later. I think it was the next day.
All right. Boy, K Digital, thank you very much. But back to the autopsy photos again.
Yeah.
There's a clear autopsy photo showing back of JFK's head blown out.
Mhm.
Is this not solid proof of a frontal shot? Now, this is new.
Right.
K. Marcus,
What is that?
This
How many
episode
times do I have to say this?
all of the autopsy photos pretty much are fake.
That's why they had to
prove?
flip the doctors in Parkland who said the back of the head was blown out. If we had those photos, we wouldn't be having the debate about the back of the head being blown out. So your presupposition of the clear autopsy photo showing the back of his head blown out, boy, that would make our lives a lot easier, bro.
Anyway, yeah. Yeah.
Boy, that would be a great photo.
K Dog. Let me see. Did FBI agent Don Adams' investigation uncover any credible evidence?
Well, we have to use the cone of silence, Chief. You're talking about Agent 86?
Don Adams. Oh God. I don't know. Do we know him? Do we know Don Adams? Do we know any of this? Is this a someone at the time, or is it Don Adams later? Some random FBI. Okay, we're not familiar. Maximilian Anderson. Question to Mark: did Richard Nixon?
Yes.
Sorry. Some of these, it is actually written weird, so I have to kind of formulate. I think you mean, was Richard Nixon behind President John Kennedy assassination? Some researcher claimed Nixon was heavily involved.
I think it's Sheen. I think it's that guy. What's his name that we were talking about just now?
Oh, Danny Sheehan.
Yeah.
That's a new one now.
No, it's not so new for him.
Okay. Well, I'm sure. I hate Nixon. He had to do it. I hate him.
Yeah.
Curlingus, I like this. Three Tramps were actually a doo-wop group.
That's funny.
Are you kidding? David Rogers is saying James Files said he was responsible for Chappaquiddick.
Okay, I think he did say that. I think
other people, locals, are saying that he is talking about he was at Chappaquiddick too.
I think so too. Yeah, I think he was, because you got to expand after a while, Hunley. It's the same thing with Judith Ferry Baker. She's now written a number of books that she knew a number of people, including she wrote a whole book about a relationship with David Ferry, I think. See, after a while, you got to expand the bullshit story to get more books. So whatever she didn't write in her first book, she then put into other books. It's funny that Marina and Lee, I think, is the book by Priscilla McMillan, and she calls her book Lee and Me or something, or Lee and I. It's similar to Priscilla McMillan's title.
Oh, Lee and Me, and
Yeah, the other one is similar, the Priscilla McMillan one.
Funny. See, do we have this down here? Yep. All right. I had a poll up saying, have you liked this stream? I mean, folks, you've been here for a while. There's 1,839 people watching this on YouTube alone, 815 likes. You can help us get to over 1,000. I'm sure that over 1,000 of you might like this content. Can you consider hitting the button? It really does help.
Don't do it.
It does help. It does help. Ignore Mark for now.
Don't do it, bro.
Just hit the
That's
button.
how they get you.
Just to help us. So we got 13. Come on. I know we can get over 1,000, guys, and help some people find this. We do appreciate it. It does help us out a lot. For real. Well, no, not last one. Okay, question from Greg Polly. What would you think polling conference panel did LBJ do it? Virtually enrolled. Oh, you're virtually enrolled. Great to hear you.
Well, polling a conference panel?
Yeah, I guess
we should decide who did it by a poll.
Well, just to see what the general sentiment is in the community. That would be interesting.
Right. Yeah,
it would probably make some people uncomfortable.
Oh, definitely.
I'll just be
They'll
honest.
be squirming, bro. They'll be squirming.
Yeah, I don't think
it's difficult to disprove at this point. You know what I mean? The opposite is actually more difficult.
That's true. That's true. GG Evan 317. This is an interesting question, actually. Is it possible that Tippit was an unrelated hit to the murder of the president? The reason why I ask, hold on, is because if they wanted Oswald to be held by Dallas police, they didn't need to kill him.
Well, they were framing Oswald. They had his wallet right at the Tippit murder scene and his supposed jacket. So it has to be related because of the wallet. They were framing him 30 seconds after the murder.
Sure.
They didn't just find a wallet of Joe Blow. They found a wallet of Lee Harvey Oswald at the murder scene. And they then said that was his jacket they found underneath the car. It was not a jacket of Mel Torme. I believe it was a jacket of Crawford, but they assigned the jacket and the wallet to Lee Harvey Oswald, who left his jacket at the Texas School Book Depository. It was found like 4 days later on the windowsill. And also that he had his own wallet in his pocket when he was arrested. So the phony wallet kind of disappears. Also indicating the obvious frame up of Lee Harvey Oswald because of how fast on camera on WDSU, I believe it was, or FAA, I forget who the local channel was filming it as the Captain Westbrook was showing it to the newsmen that they found this wallet of Lee Harvey Oswald.
Okay, and I just learned about
Alex Heidel. I mean, I think they might have identified him as Heidel at that point.
Okay. And somebody helped me out here and just identified what the new currency is of the day. KES is a Kenyan shilling, and it's
okay
0.0077 for a dollar, I guess. So 500 is $3.80. Thank you very much, David Beeler. I genuinely had never seen that currency before, so it's very cool. We're international, man. This is
definitely been international for a long time.
We have, but I haven't seen a lot of Africa. I don't know if we've had a little Middle East. Don't know, but Kenya is in the house. Happy to have you and everybody else. And we are going to be heading over to locals.
Woohoo!
Everybody note that tomorrow Mark will be covering Andrew Dice Clay and his story. Make sure I don't miss the super chat. I hate it when that happens. And Thursday, I will be releasing an interview about Robert Hansen And that's not Robert Hansen, the FBI traitor. It's Robert Hansen, the butcher baker, who at the end of his horrible career would fly victims out, release them into the wild, and gun them down.
Yikes.
But before we go, Gypsy Blues on Rumble. There's a couple of Rumble rants, so let me take care of those. Greg Pauly, kind of the same question. What would you think polling the conference panel? Did LBJ do it? I've already covered that. And wait, okay, sorry. This is actually YouTube. I have too many windows open. Gypsy Blues, could you describe what the overall reaction, hold on, from the country when the Warren Commission was released to the public, Magic Bullet, etc.? Was it just accepted at that point because of everything else going on it?
Not only was it accepted, the New York Times claimed to have read the entire thing within 3 hours of its release, all 27 volumes of it, and declared it to be the greatest investigation of all time. So yeah, nobody questioned it at all. It's not questioned until Mark Lane questions it a year later.
All right. All right. So we are going to head over to locals. Hope to see everybody there. We have a message from Christopher Walken on the way out. Something you may want to consider doing.
That subscription button's looking a little red. Well, I got a fever, and the only prescription is more subscription. Huh? Huh? Look at my eye. Huh? I'm winking. That means subscribe.